This is my favorite IDE for a reason. There are so many cool features and all of them are free. Welcome to part 2 of the video where I show my favorite features of IntelliJ IDEA that I use not just daily but multiple times a day. And I have to say, in the first video I wanted to share 10, but eventually it turned out to be like 15. Just a quick reminder, I'm not sponsored by IntelliJ in any way. I don't even have an ultimate edition for my personal use. This is all free version that I'm showing you, and I am using a free version for my personal projects. Immediately, we're going to start with something that's not even in my list of features. This time we're going to use two repositories. One will be the same AI-generated code base. It's just convenient to show stuff on something that's already broken. And another one will be an open source library that I use a lot. It's called Arrow. It helps you to use more of a functional style in Kotlin. And how do we switch between the repositories? Well, we don't have to switch between different windows. I can just select the project in the menu and it's immediately opened for me. My regular monitor is pretty big and it makes it very difficult to show my screen on the calls, and as a developer you do this a lot. Even now, to record this video, I'm using the laptop screen. When I'm on the call, of course I'm not moving my IDE to the laptop, I'm using a presentation mode. There is no default shortcut for the presentation mode. You click on View, Appearance and enter presentation mode. And as you can see, I connected it to the shortcut. This is 175 zoom level. If you're done with your call or presentation or whatever you were doing with 175% zoom, you just toggle the same combination again to exit the presentation mode. And that's why I have the combination bind to that, because it's just very difficult to do it with the mouse, because you have to kind of, you know, find the menu. As you can see, this either file is very big because the functionality is quite extensive. It has a lot of documentation, and that's why we have the structure window. The structure window will show us what's going on in the class, what are the subclasses and methods and values, and we can navigate using the structure window to move between the methods. We can also arrange the structure window either alphabetically or by visibility and hide some of the properties of the class. I find it extremely convenient when I'm working with big classes or the code bases that I don't know. Another thing that I'm using extensively in IntelliJ is Git support, and I know you love your console. Feel free to stay there. I do a lot of things in the console still just because it's quick, but sometimes it's very nice to have a visual, and IntelliJ is quite good at that. So let's check out the history, and I can do this by either opening the Git panel right here or by pressing Command 9. And here I can see all of the commits that were made. I can click on every commit. I can check the files that were made in the commit compared to the current version that I have. IntelliJ also supports branches. You can either create them or switch to different branches. I especially love using UI for solving merge conflicts. It makes it so much easier if you know what's going on in your code base. Another useful feature is git blame, and you can achieve it very easily by clicking on this free space between the line numbers and the code and choosing annotate with git blame. And then you can see who made the changes and when. And of course, by clicking on it, you will go to the commit. It's also very nice because more recent commits are brighter in the git blame and the older commits are less bright. And now we're gonna switch back to our old AI generated project. As you know, when you just create a file, it's not added to Git automatically. You have to do it before you commit it. And in IntelliJ, you can see it in the color coding of the files. The green files are new ones. The blue files are the ones that contain changes. And the red ones are the files that are not added to Git. You can add them one by one by using a shortcut, or of course you can add the whole folder. Or if you like living on the edge, you can just make sure that every time you create a new class, you can choose for the classes to be added to Git automatically. Then you won't have to do it manually, but of course, then you have to be extra vigilant with your commits. You know the drill. Once you're done adding all of your files to your commit, you press another shortcut to go to the commit window, check all of the files that you have and all of the changes that you made. If you want to push your changes, there is another shortcut. It's Shift-Command-K. You can see the commit that you're updating, you can see the branch, and you can select a different branch, or you can even create an absolutely new branch. A word of warning, if you are new to coding, it's not a thing that you really want to do, because then the remote branch is not correspondent with your local branch, because as you can see, I'm still on my main branch locally. Ideally, you want to create your branch locally first and then push to your remote branch so you have a tracked branch, but we all need some shortcuts in our lives as well, sometimes. Imagine a situation when you accidentally removed all of your changes. For example, you wanted to do a hard reset and you forgot that you already had some file that you needed. In that case, local history will be your friend. Click on any place in the file, choose local history, show history, and you can see all of the changes. You can navigate through differences using F7. This is not connected directly to Git, so it helps to show some of the changes that you may have accidentally deleted. I have to say I'm not using it a lot anymore, but in the beginning of my career, it saved my life a couple of times. The next feature I use literally all the time. It is find and replace, but with additional flavor. To find something in the files, you use Command-Shift-F or Command-Shift-R for replace. You can have a case-sensitive search, of course. So we can search for a user, or we can search for a user with the big letter. I mean, it's not that surprising, right? A lot of IDEs have it, it's kind of normal. But what I love about IntelliJ is that it can preserve the case when replacing your words. I want to replace the user with a customer, and I want to replace it in every place, for example, the class name or the user in the URL. And I'm gonna click this preserve case button, replace all. And now when I search for customer, I can see that the class name starts with the big letter, but the customer in the API is still lowercase. I probably wouldn't recommend renaming classes like this because you want to use proper refactoring that we're going to cover a bit later, but it's super handy, especially for documentation files. If you think that the magic of finding stuff is over, no, because we have something that I love, and I know that a lot of people don't, but you really should: regular expressions. As you know, in Kotlin we have nullable and non-nullable types, and nullable types always end with a question mark. Let's say we want to find all of the nullable types. We're going to select regular expression in our search bar. We're going to search for words consisting of letters. These words should end at question mark. And as you can see, this search showed us also some other operations, so we can also filter it out by saying that it should be followed by a new line or a comma, or, well, basically anything else you can think of. Another cool feature is auto code generation. The code generation was extremely useful in my Java times, and let me quickly create a sample file to show you what I mean. A private string text. And of course we need a getter and setter for a private variable. And instead of typing it manually or using some tools like Lombok that's gonna make your life a living hell, I can just generate it in my IDE by using the Command N shortcut. And here it is. Now I need it way less in Kotlin because Kotlin is way less verbose than Java. But sometimes when you need to override a toString method, or you want to do something with your hash code and equals, for whatever reason, again, if you're new to coding, don't. Next is the simplification of the code. You may not be that good at Kotlin, but IntelliJ is going to help you. And this is a big thing because JetBrains developed both the language and the IDE, which gives them a lot of power and ability to help you with your code. For example, you may look at this piece of code and not think anything weird about it, but you see this yellow wiggly line that tells you that maybe there is a suggestion. And if you watch the first part of the video, you already know that you're gonna press Option Enter, and there is a suggestion for lifting the assignments, which makes you a more Kotlin idiomatic type of creating this code. Or for example, let's say you have a list of customers that was a list of users before, and you want to create a map of the customers instead, where the key would be an ID and the value will be the whole object. So you write this code, but you see that there may be a more efficient way to write this. So you have a suggestion to merge call chain to associate. Okay, you accept it, but there is a second round of optimization. There is also an associated by method. And not only it creates more idiomatic code and the code that you can more easily read, but it also kind of introduces the methods that exist to you if you're not familiar with them yet. Who needs tutorials and documentation when you can just learn stuff by being hands-on with it, right? Disclaimer, this is a joke, don't listen to me, read the documentation sometimes. And the next feature is the one that I've used literally 100 times a day sometimes. And this is scratch files. That time when I had to use it 100 times a day was when I was working with huge payloads and I needed to compare them and make sense of them and analyze them. And I didn't want to create a file for each one of them. I didn't want to add them to my code base or anything, but I did need a proper ID to work with them. So this is how I did it. I pressed Command-Shift-N to create a new scratch file, and then I chose the JSON. And then I can copy paste my JSON into the file. And this JSON is already properly formatted, which is not always the case. But if it's not, you can also press Option Command L to reformat your code. Now you have a scratch file. Where is it located? Again, if you watched part 2 of the video, and if you haven't, please do, you can click on this little button and see that the scratch file is located in your Scratch folder. From here you can work with your JSON by recursively folding it, so you can compare different objects, or you can even select 2 Scratch files and compare them by pressing Command D. And as you've noticed, there are multiple types of Scratch files. I think there are multiple other features that I also use, but I never actually thought about it, and these were the ones that just came to my mind, and I decided to share them with you. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you found something interesting for you, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel to see more videos like this, and I'll see you in the next one.